In the UK, our principal threats are coming from China, coming from Russia. But there are, off the top of my head, I can think of at least another 20 countries that will be carrying out espionage activities across the UK, and it's similar across Europe. They have been involved in espionage activity, not just in the UK, but probably across Europe as well. And that to me would suggest that it's not just the UK security service, because the lead for counterintelligence in the UK is MI5. The counter-terror police are the policing arm that will carry out the arrests and policing activity on it. But it's almost certainly involved intelligence partners and policing partners across Europe.
Again, we can't really speculate exactly what these five people have been doing. But if we're to cast our net out a little more wider now, and just sort of talk about the general climate in terms of intelligence and spying on behalf of a country like Russia, what kind of sort of hurdles, obstacles are we facing at the moment? And is it right to say that we're perhaps experiencing less spying or more spying?
Significantly more.
Yeah.
I think the big issue is that whenever the wall came down and the Russians became our friends, and we didn't have any problems in Northwest Europe, our counterintelligence agencies turned to dealing with counterterrorism, because terrorism was on the rise. And we took our eye off the ball of hostile intelligence services from different countries around the world coming and continuing their activities. Interestingly, since the Cold War finished, there have been more intelligence officers in the Russian embassies and other embassies in London and other countries around the world than during the Cold War. So, espionage activities have increased, but because we took our eye off the ball, they've become more embedded in society, and we haven't quite got that wider understanding that we probably had beforehand, whenever it was clear, black and white. And this is something that we have to re-educate the population again, that this is still ongoing. It hasn't changed, and it's got stronger. Espionage is the second oldest profession. It hasn't gone away.
Yeah, and sort of talking about it being the second oldest profession, we know that there's cyber hacking. We know that technology plays a large part in espionage these days. But actually, how much proportionately still is good old-fashioned spying, and what kind of methods might that be these days?
Well, modern technology has just brought additional methods into it as well, but it doesn't stop the good old-fashioned methods of trying to compromise the individual, compromise another human being, and get them to supply you information or more that is of use to whoever you are working for, whether it be the Russians, the Chinese, or elsewhere. And we have to put this into context. Every country is at this. The bigger countries are just slightly better at it and focused on other bigger countries. So, in the UK, our principal threats are coming from China, coming from Russia. But there are, off the top of my head, I can think of at least another 20 countries that will be carrying out espionage activities across the UK, and it's similar across Europe.
Yeah.
And of course, we're doing similar things inside Russia, China, and all the rest. It's just slightly more difficult.
What is the most commonly used non-technology based form of espionage? If we're to get a bit James Bond, what is the sort of method that has carried through the decades and is still widely used today?
Well, it's recruiting another human being who has got access to the material that you want, who will provide that material to you. And you can recruit them through a number of different ways. Ideally, you get someone who's got the similar beliefs to you and wants to help you. But there's other ways of compromising individuals by getting what's called compromat on them, and then they get blackmailed into providing you information, or they just get offered lots of money to come and do it. And it's trying to find that motivation of individuals. So getting another human being, human intelligence is the one big thing